Okay, so we have George Brock. This is called the Portuguese. And I don't know if you guys have really looked at this, but I want you just to take a second to look and see if you can see anything that looks like a real object. And you should see some things that look like a real object. I'm just guessing because I don't see you in person, of course. But if you guys notice, there are letters up here and here. There's a number here. There's also other objects in here that can show possible real images. But this is like one of the masterpieces of analytical cubism. So it takes it a step further from Picasso's La Demoiselle d'Avignon, although Picasso also is one of the founders of analytical cubism. College Board just picked this one because they worked together to come up with this new type of painting. So just some background. So with Picasso, Brock is going to flatten the pictorial space, but then he's going to take it one step further than La Demoiselle d'Avignon, and he's going to provide and incorporate multiple perspectives with a single picture, but fracturing the form. So it would be as if this is a 3D figure, and just like I talked about in one of the previous screencasts, like a paper cup, which is a 3D figure, if you cut it all up and set it on like flat, that's what this would look like. And so although both artists worked independently in their own studios, it's not like they were working in the same studio or anything. They did meet frequently to discuss like how their work was progressing with analytical cubism, and they learned from each other. So it's called the Portuguese because it is supposed to be a portrait of a Portuguese man. And it's also supposed to be a Portuguese man with a guitar. Do you guys see the guitar? It's right here. Part of it at least. Like with the lines and the whole. Getting back to just some of the cubism and analytical cubism, it emphasizes that flat two-dimensional surface of the picture plane, definitely rejecting everything about traditional techniques of perspective, foreshortening, modeling, as well as the obvious time-honored theories of art as an imitation of nature. And again, this is a reaction to photography, because with photography you can get all of the things that I just mentioned in a perfect image. And so they're trying, it's not that they're rejecting photography, but it's more like they're trying to say that we are going to do a different take on art rather than trying to show the image in what it looks like in real life. So, Cubist painters were not bound to copying form, texture, color, or even space. Instead, they presented this new reality in paintings that depict radically fragmented objects. And then you're basically supposed to see several sides of an object simultaneously. Most analytical cubist pieces will have a monochromatic color scheme, which means we're really only seeing like browns and grays and just the darker colors. There's no blues, there's no reds. It's very what we call monochromatic with this color scheme. And we also see multiple views of the object that's reduced to overlapping, opaque, and transparent planes. With analytical cubism, the image is almost a complete abstraction. And it's not 100% complete abstraction because there is a subject. That's the difference. With a complete abstract piece, there's no subject matter, but this one's given a subject matter, and there are some recognizable objects in the piece. Whereas when we get to Kandinsky, it's completely abstract. So the total image must be thought as much as seen. This is showing an interest in rendering a full view of the object on the 2D canvas. And then by breaking the objects into smaller elements, Brock is able to overcome the unified singularity of an object and instead transforms it into an object of vision. Now, he included the letters and the numbers just for purely compositional perspective. It's an addition that is so that it balances the piece. So we know that the scale and the form, what it is in relation to the size of the letters and the numbers. So it's not necessarily part of the content. It's a way for us to recognize the form. And so basically it's making us aware of the fact that the canvas can also hold outside elements with it. So Brock is really going to be probably the most preeminent of the analytical cubist, but there are more, and Picasso definitely does quite a few analytical cubist pieces. But Picasso painted from the time he was a child up until he was in his late 80s, and so his evolution changes so greatly that his analytical cubist period is quite short, and then he moves on to different styles afterwards, whereas Brock is known for the analytical cubism. So this is the Portuguese.